How many times have you felt like your mind is always racing? Like thoughts invade your head uncontrollably, making each day feel heavier, more confusing, and sometimes even overwhelming. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded by stimuli: social media, news, work obligations, and worries about what lies ahead. All of this accumulates like a kind of mental noise that exhausts us. And although we are aware of this chaos, we often don't know how to clear our minds and reduce the flood of thoughts. Today, we will explore 11 simple yet powerful ways you can use in your life to detoxify your mind and stop overthinking. Each of these methods is inspired by Stoic philosophy, and what makes them so effective is their simplicity. You don't need to make radical changes in your life. In fact, these are small habits you can adopt daily so that gradually your mind begins to break free from this overload of thoughts and anxieties. Before we start, if you think these videos are helpful, please subscribe and click the bell icon to stay updated. Remember, don't miss any insights, as some of them could clarify many situations in your life. Let's get started. Strategy 1. Practice being present. How many times have you caught yourself thinking about what has already happened or worrying about what might happen? This is one of the main reasons why our minds feel so heavy. Often we relive past mistakes or fret over what could go wrong in the future, forgetting the only thing we truly have, the present moment. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "Don't wander in your mind, focus on what you have in hand now." This saying is powerful because it reminds us that the only way to lighten our mental load is to concentrate on what is happening right now. Overthinking often arises from our tendency to live outside the present in worlds that don't yet exist or that we can no longer change. How can you apply this in your daily life? Whenever you feel your thoughts drifting to future worries or past regrets, take a moment to pause, stop, take a deep breath, and bring your attention back to what you are doing. For example, if you're washing the dishes, pay attention to how the water feels, the sound it makes, and the movement of your hands. If you're working, focus solely on that task, without allowing other worries to invade your mind. The beauty of this strategy is that it requires conscious effort at first, but over time, it becomes a habit. Each time you pause and return to the present, you are training your mind to slow down and concentrate on what is truly happening here and now. Most importantly, by being more present, you reduce the number of unnecessary thoughts that clutter your mind. The present is the only thing we can control. The Stoics teach that the past is gone and the future is uncertain. By focusing on the present, you not only detoxify your mind, but also begin to live in a more conscious and fulfilling way. It's a shift in focus that may seem subtle, but it has a profound impact on your mental well-being. Discover how to control your emotions and unlock your true potential with our Stoic guide. Visit our stoicap.com.br or click on the pinned comment link to get it now. Strategy 2. Create simple routines for your mind. Now let's move to the second strategy, which is one of my favorites. Creating simple routines for your mind. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to get lost in thoughts when we don't have a structure? It's as if your mind is searching for something to focus on, and when it doesn't find it, it ends up trapped in repetitive or pointless thoughts. This is where simple routines come in. It's not about complicating life with a strict schedule, but rather establishing small daily rituals that help keep your mind engaged in a constructive way. The Stoics understood how important mental discipline is. Cicero, for example, said, "It's not that we have little time, but that we waste a lot." This perspective is essential for understanding why simple routines can make a big difference. When you create a structure, even if minimal, you are taking control of your day, which reduces mental chaos. How can you apply this? Imagine starting each day with a small ritual. It could be something as simple as taking 5 minutes to meditate, writing a few lines in a journal, or reading a paragraph from an inspiring book. The important thing is that it's something that not only grounds you in the present, but also gives you a sense of purpose. These structured moments give your mind a space to focus, preventing it from wandering aimlessly. If you feel overwhelmed with all the things you need to do throughout the day, a Stoic trick is to break tasks down into small, manageable parts. By doing this, you eliminate that sense of overwhelm that can lead to overthinking. Instead of looking at an endless to-do list, you focus only on the next immediate action. This simple decision to organize your day into small routines already helps detoxify your mind. And don't think you need to plan your entire day. It's not about living like a robot, but about giving your mind some guidance, something it can lean on to avoid the mental chaos that arises from a lack of structure. You can start and end your day with these small routines or even incorporate them during breaks, like taking a moment to breathe deeply or reflect on something positive. Creating simple routines not only helps keep your mind focused, but also provides a sense of control. With small planned moments in your day, your mind stops jumping from one topic to another and starts having a solid anchor. This, while it may seem simple, significantly reduces the number of unnecessary thoughts. Strategy 3. Cut down on irrelevant information consumption. Now let's move on to the next strategy, which is extremely important today. Reducing the intake of information that isn't useful. We are surrounded by news, social media, and constant notifications, and all of this, while seemingly harmless, can be harmful to our minds. Every time you absorb information that offers no benefits, you're filling your head with more noise, which only increases mental overload. The Stoics were very aware of the importance of carefully choosing where to focus their attention. Epictetus wisely said, "Make sure you don't dedicate yourself to worthless things." And how many worthless things are we absorbing every day? Think about it. We're constantly checking our social media, seeing alarming news, or wasting time in pointless discussions. Each of these moments is another drop adding to our mental overload. The worst part is that we often don't even realize how much this affects us. You might think that checking your social media for a few minutes isn't harmful, but those minutes add up. By the end of the day, your mind is filled with images, opinions, and information that don't help at all. Instead, they distract, overwhelm, and, most worryingly, increase your tendency to overthink. So how can you put this strategy into practice? The first step is to pay attention to what you consume. Before opening any app or watching the news, ask yourself, is this going to help me in any way, or is it just a distraction? It's not about living isolated from the world, but rather being more selective about the information you allow into your mind. At the end of the day, everything you consume impacts the quality of your thoughts. Another action you can take is to set time limits. If you like checking your social media, for example, set a specific time for that instead of looking every time you're bored or stressed. This small adjustment can significantly reduce mental noise. Moreover, try to consume information that inspires you or teaches you something new rather than getting caught up in sensational news or trends that only increase anxiety. It's interesting how something as simple as limiting unnecessary information consumption can have such a big effect on your mental well-being. By reducing external noise, you also lessen internal noise, feeling more in control of your thoughts and less overwhelmed by everything happening around you. Strategy 4. Simplify your decisions. Now let's talk about a strategy that may seem simple but has a huge impact. Simplifying your decisions. Have you ever stopped to think about how much mental energy you waste just deciding what to do? From simple choices, like what to wear, to more complex decisions, like which project to take on or how to handle a tough situation? All this decision-making, big or small, adds up and can make your mind feel heavy. The Stoics had a big advantage. They lived quite simply. Marcus Aurelius said, "Choose not to be disturbed by things that aren't essential." This philosophy applies not only to material goods, but also to the daily decisions we face. The more you simplify your life, the more mental energy you'll have for things that really matter. The problem isn't the number of decisions we need to make, but the time and energy we spend on each choice, often more than necessary for issues that shouldn't be so complicated. This creates an unnecessary burden on your mind, leading to fatigue and, worse, fueling the cycle of overthinking. How can you apply this strategy? Create rules or systems in your life to reduce the number of decisions you need to make each day. A classic example is Steve Jobs, who wore the same outfit every day so he wouldn't waste energy deciding what to wear. You don't have to go to that extreme, but in various areas of your life, instead of deciding every day what to eat, you can plan your meals for the week. If you struggle to make decisions at work, You could create a priority system to help you focus on the most important tasks first. This frees your mind, preventing you from getting stuck in small decisions that, at the end of the day, aren't that relevant. Another way to simplify your decisions is to eliminate unnecessary options. Often we get stressed because we have too many choices in front of us. The truth is, the simpler the decision, the less weight it will carry for your mind. You don't need to choose between 10 things when 2 options are enough. This small adjustment can significantly reduce mental noise. Remember, it's not about avoiding important decisions, but about reducing the burden of everyday small choices. This will allow you to save mental energy for the moments that really need your attention and focus. The more you simplify, the more clarity and peace of mind you'll have for what truly matters in your life. Strategy 5, the negative visualization technique. Now let's explore a strategy that may seem a bit deeper and even surprising. Negative visualization. At first glance, it might seem strange to think about negative situations to reduce anxiety, but this is a powerful technique within Stoicism and can effectively clear your mind. The Stoics believe that reflecting on the difficulties and losses we might face isn't pessimistic, but a way to mentally prepare for life's challenges. Marcus Aurelius expressed this clearly. Prepare for everything like a soldier prepares for battle. This teaches us that by mentally confronting adversities, we stop feeling so overwhelmed or anxious about the future. How can this technique help you reduce excessive thoughts? Often our minds get cluttered because we're constantly worried about what might go wrong. We think, what if I lose this? Or what if things don't go as I expect? This uncertainty leaves us anxious. What the Stoics teach us with negative visualization is that if we consciously reflect on these scenarios and mentally prepare for them, we can take away the power that these worries have over us. For example, let's say you're anxious about the possibility of losing your job or that an important relationship might end. Instead of ignoring these thoughts and allowing them to overwhelm you, take a moment to imagine that scenario. Ask yourself, what would I do? How would I react? How would I move on? By facing these situations in your mind, you'll realize that, while they're not ideal, you have the ability to overcome them. Once you mentally prepare for the worst, the worry starts to lose its grip. You're not trying to avoid or ignore the possibility. You're simply recognizing that you can handle it, which brings calm to your mind. What's interesting about this technique is that, even though it seems negative, it actually gives you a lot of power. You understand that whatever happens, you're capable of facing the situation. And when you stop fearing the future, you also reduce the frequency of thoughts about it. In addition to reducing fear, negative visualization also helps you appreciate even more what you already have. When you imagine the possibility of losing something valuable, like your health or a loved one, it makes you appreciate even more what you have at this moment. So if you find yourself stuck in a cycle of negative thoughts about what might go wrong, try this technique. Take some time to imagine those negative scenarios, not as a way to attract them, but as a way to neutralize the power they have over you. Once you confront them in your mind, you'll notice how they start to lose weight, and your mind, instead of being filled with worries, will begin to find more tranquility. Strategy 6. Develop a service mindset. Now let's move on to a strategy that focuses more on the outside, but has a direct impact on your mind. Developing a service mindset. Often we get so caught up in our own problems, goals, and worries that we forget to look around and notice the needs of others. The interesting thing is that when we start focusing on how we can help the people around us, that mental noise that often troubles us significantly decreases. Stoics deeply believed in living for the common good. Marcus Aurelius said, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." Part of living in harmony is recognizing that we are not alone in this world, that our actions affect others, and that by positively contributing to the lives of others, our minds also find peace. How can this work in practice? When you have days when your thoughts feel overwhelming or you feel stuck in your own issues, you can take a step back and ask yourself, how can I help someone today? This simple shift in focus is almost like a mental release. By thinking about the well-being of others, you stop obsessively fixating on your own worries and begin to realize that often those worries become smaller. It doesn't have to be something grand. It could be a simple gesture like offering advice to a friend, doing a favor for a coworker, or even spending time on a cause that makes you feel good. By cultivating this service mindset, you train your mind to focus on the positive impact you can have on the lives of those around you, instead of getting stuck in a repetitive cycle of thoughts about your own problems. Another important thing that happens when you help others is that your mind finds a deeper sense of purpose. Often, excessive thoughts arise from feelings of emptiness or dissatisfaction. But when you realize you can make a difference in someone else's life, you start to feel more connected and valued. This directly impacts the peace you feel in your mind. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by your own thoughts, try looking beyond yourself. Ask yourself how you can contribute to someone else's life, even in a small way. By doing this, you'll notice how your mind starts to calm down, how the cycle of thoughts begins to lessen, and how the act of serving brings a sense of peace and purpose to your life. This practice not only improves your mental well-being, but also creates stronger and more meaningful connections with those around you. Strategy 7. Learn to say no. Now let's explore one of the most liberating strategies that helps clear your mind. Learning to say no. This little word has impressive power when it comes to reducing stress and mental overload. Often, our thoughts multiply because we commit to unnecessary things. We feel obligated to accept everything: appointments, extra work, favors for others, and suddenly you find yourself trapped in a spiral of obligations that don't give you a moment of rest. Seneca said it's madness to live demanding things from others while neglecting yourself. In other words, if you don't set boundaries, you'll end up lost in external demands, and ultimately your mind will feel the negative effects. By saying yes to everything, you take on more responsibilities than you can actually handle, which increases the number of things you have to think about. It's like filling a glass of water that's already overflowing. Learning to say no doesn't mean you're selfish or insensitive. On the contrary, it's a way to protect your mental well-being and ensure you have enough energy to dedicate to what truly matters. When you learn to set boundaries, you realize you don't have to do everything or please everyone, and that's incredibly liberating. How can you apply this in your daily life? The next time someone asks you for something and you feel it will add more stress or burden to your life, take a moment to ask yourself, do I really want to do this? If the answer is no, say no respectfully and firmly. You don't need to justify yourself or feel guilty for prioritizing your mental peace. Saying no also means learning to eliminate unnecessary commitments that don't bring you any benefits. Maybe there are activities in your daily routine that no longer add value, but you keep doing them out of habit or social pressure. By learning to let go of those activities, you create more mental space and time to focus on what truly matters, reducing the noise in your head. It's fascinating how something as simple as saying no can significantly reduce the number of thoughts and worries in your mind. The clearer you are with your boundaries, the clearer your mental state will be. You'll feel less overwhelmed and more in control of your life. Strategy 8. Stop seeking approval from others. Now let's discuss a strategy that can really change the way you think and live: stopping the search for approval from others. I know this can be tough, especially in a time when everyone seems to be looking for external validation, whether through social media likes or acceptance from peers and friends. The truth is that one of the biggest sources of mental noise comes from this constant need to be accepted and please others. Epictetus put it bluntly: if you want to improve, prepare to be seen as foolish and even despised. What does this mean? It means that on the path to a calmer mind and a more balanced life, you'll need to let go of the need to fit in or be approved by everyone. This not only frees you mentally, but also gives you the chance to be your true self, without the pressure of living up to others' expectations. The constant quest for approval creates a real storm in your mind. You find yourself wondering, what will they think if I do this? What if they don't like what I say? Will I be good enough for them? This kind of thinking acts like a silent poison, gradually undermining your mental peace. The reality is that no matter how hard you try to please everyone, it's impossible to satisfy 100% of the people. There will always be someone who disagrees, doesn't understand, or has a different opinion. How to apply this strategy? The first step is to start noticing when you're acting or thinking based on what others expect of you. Next time you're making a decision, ask yourself, am I doing this because I really want to, or because I want others to approve? If the answer is the latter, it's time to reassess and consider what's best for you, not for others. When you stop seeking external approval, something magical happens. You feel freer and no longer carry the weight of other people's expectations, which significantly reduces the number of thoughts and worries occupying your mind. You become more authentic, and, interestingly enough, the people who truly matter in your life will appreciate you more for being genuine. Another important step is to limit the time you spend in situations or with people who make you feel like you need their approval. Sometimes we surround ourselves with those who constantly judge or criticize us, feeding that need for validation. By setting boundaries and carefully choosing who you spend your time with, you're protecting your mental well-being. Remember, the most important approval is your own. When you feel good about yourself, when you accept yourself as you are, external noise loses its power. Your mind detoxes because it's no longer filled with worries about what others think of you. This is a radical change that will allow you to live with more calmness and clarity. Strategy 9. Practice daily gratitude. Now let's talk about a strategy that may seem simple but has extraordinary power. Practicing gratitude daily. Yes, you may have heard about this before, but few people actually commit to doing it consistently. Gratitude is one of the tools that Stoics highly valued because it helps shift our focus from what we lack to what we already have. When we feel overwhelmed by thoughts, a significant part of that mental noise comes from dissatisfaction, the constant desire for more, and the feeling that things are never enough. Seneca said, "He who receives a benefit with gratitude pays the first installment of his debt." This saying is crucial because it reminds us that gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's an action, a way to give back to life for what it has offered us. The interesting part is that when you practice it, your mind becomes much lighter and calmer. How gratitude can help you. How can gratitude help you detox your mind and stop overthinking? It's simple. When you focus on what you already have and what's going well in your life, you eliminate the space typically occupied by repetitive thoughts about what's missing. It's like giving your mind a break from all the negativity, training it to notice the good things, even on the toughest days. Gratitude can be a powerful way to transform your outlook on life. How to start practicing this? You don't need complicated rituals. Just take a moment at the end of each day to reflect on 3 things you're grateful for. It could be something as simple as enjoying a good meal, having a pleasant conversation, or something deeper, like your health or the presence of someone special in your life. The key is to take some conscious time to express your gratitude, not just by thinking about it, but really feeling it. This creates a mental shift, a sort of reset that reduces anxiety and stress. Gratitude is a way to train your mind to notice the positive side, preventing it from drowning in problems or negative thoughts that keep you stuck. The best part is that, over time, this practice becomes a habit. When you consistently practice gratitude, you start to notice more good things around you. Your mind, instead of filling up with worries, becomes filled with appreciation and calm. It's amazing how something as simple as being thankful for what you already have can have such a profound impact on your mental well-being. Often we overthink because we feel dissatisfied, as our minds are constantly searching for something more. But when gratitude steps in, that search calms down, and you begin to feel an inner peace that helps you live with more ease. Strategy 10. Practice emotional detachment. Now we come to one of the most important strategies in Stoicism, emotional detachment. This doesn't mean becoming insensitive or cold. Rather, it means learning not to let your emotions control you. Overthinking arises when we are emotionally attached to situations or people. We worry too much about things that we can't actually control, which only adds to the mental chaos. Epictetus gave us an essential reminder. Don't let external things affect you, but rather how you perceive them. This lesson is pure gold for the mind because it reminds us that while we can't control what happens around us, we can control how we respond. Emotional detachment isn't indifference. It's recognizing that emotions are an internal response and that we can choose how to deal with them. When we're emotionally attached to something, whether it's a situation or a person, it's easy to fall into a cycle of repetitive thoughts. We worry about what might happen, feel frustrated if things don't go as we expect, and overload our minds with emotions we can't process at the moment. Practicing detachment is an act of liberation. It means allowing yourself to feel your emotions without getting stuck in them. How to apply this in your daily life? Next time you find yourself in a situation that causes anxiety, frustration, or any strong emotion, take a pause and reflect. Is this emotion helping me solve the problem, or is it just clouding my mind? By distancing yourself emotionally, you'll be able to see things more clearly. It's not about ignoring your feelings, but about not letting them control you. Imagine you're in the middle of a heated discussion or a tense situation. Instead of getting swept away by the emotions of the moment, practice detachment. Take a deep breath and remind yourself that not everything is within your control. Emotions, when poorly managed, are one of the main reasons we overthink. We get stuck in what we feel, endlessly repeating the same worries or frustrations in our minds. Developing emotional detachment brings enormous peace of mind because it helps you put things into perspective. You stop overreacting to every little setback or the actions of others and begin to see things more objectively. By doing this, you reduce the emotional noise that often contributes to mental overload. With this approach, you can live in a more balanced and harmonious way, building a life with greater ease and satisfaction. Strategy 11. Set clear boundaries. Now let's talk about a strategy that might seem simple, but has a huge impact on your peace of mind. Setting clear boundaries. Often our minds get cluttered with worries because we let the outside world come in unchecked. We say yes to everything, accept commitments we don't really want, or allow others to invade our mental and emotional space. It's important to remember that all this has a cost. Every time we fail to set a boundary, we open the door for more things to occupy our minds, leaving us exhausted. As someone very wise once said, we can't control the wind, but we can adjust the sails. This means you can't control how others treat you or the demands they make, but you can control how you react and what you accept in your life. Setting boundaries protects you not just physically, but also mentally. When you know how far you can go and how far others can go with you, you start to feel incredible peace. How does this apply in daily life? Sometimes saying no is the most effective way to protect your mind, but it's not always easy. We often feel guilty for not meeting others' expectations or believe we'll disappoint them. However, when we don't set boundaries, it's our mental health that suffers. Every time you say yes to something you don't want to do, you overload your mind with more thoughts and responsibilities. Think about how many times you've said yes to something only to later feel overwhelmed by the amount of tasks you've taken on. Each small commitment is like a stone you carry in your mental backpack. By the end of the day, that backpack can be so full that it's hard to think clearly. Setting boundaries allows you to remove those unnecessary stones and carry only what truly matters to you. Another way to apply this strategy is by establishing limits on how you use your time and personal space. You don't have to be available to everyone all the time. Sometimes it's necessary to have time for yourself to recharge without feeling guilty about it. Setting boundaries also means creating moments to rest, reflect, or simply do nothing. This is crucial for maintaining a healthy mind. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's about taking care of your mental health. When you set clear limits, you reduce the amount of external noise invading your life, which automatically decreases the internal noise. You gain more control over what you allow to affect your peace of mind, feeling more balanced and in harmony with yourself. I invite you to explore the transformative power of these Stoic tips in your daily life. May each day be a new chance to move closer to the life you desire. Remember, each new dawn is an opportunity to connect with your most important values and steer your life towards a fuller and more meaningful existence. I hope this message has been helpful to you. Thank you for sticking with me and for watching the video until the end. This shows that you want to grow as a person. If you liked the video, leave a comment. If you're not sure what to say, just write gratitude, so I'll know you watched to the end. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe now and join us. Stoicism is full of valuable lessons that can be applied in our daily lives, so I encourage you to keep learning about this philosophy. Here are 2 videos filled with Stoic wisdom for you to continue your learning journey. See you next time.